and the very first day of class, Mrs. A gives this impassioned, like Robin Williams level speech just on what storytelling means. What does it mean to invoke emotion through TV, film, or even good storytelling in the news? And she was the first kind of adult that I'd come across who loved what they did.
Hello and welcome to the Upgraded Podcast. Today we have the most amazing, exciting guest. He is a director, a cinematographer, a photographer, an editor, a storyteller. I've worked with him on multiple projects, a TV pilot, a funny, whimsical series I did years ago. Oh my gosh, those are hilarious moments. And he's edited projects for me as well. And we've done photo shoots together in his fashion photography work and creative work. Please welcome the one and only Taj Francois.
Thank you. Thank you. What an intro. My heart. Thank you so much. So
Okay.
excited and happy to be here with you.
Okay, please put on your sunglasses.
My son. Oh, yes, yes.
Nice shades. Nice
Thank you,
shades, by
thank
the way. So before we get going, I just want to start out by saying that and I know you love this too. We're global people. We love to travel. We
Yes.
love the world. We love the world and the people of the world and the stories of the world. Where, my friend? We just got upgraded our seats. We're in first class. Where are we flying?
We are headed to Japan, my friend.
Yes, we are.
Japan. Oh,
Yes.
top of my list. I want to go so badly. I'm so in love with the culture, the people, the food, the craftsmanship, the dedication to excellence that they have. And we'll be flying window. We need to see Mount Fuji on the way
I
in.
wanted to ask you, that was my next question, was window or aisle?
Yes, window for sure. We need to see. I am someone who is a little bit afraid of heights, but seeing the world in a beautiful way, I can get through it.
Japan. I've been through Japan when I worked in Hong Kong, and and I wasn't there long enough to say that I visited Japan, but it is so high on my list as well for so many reasons. And like everything you said, and then also one of my cousins actually moved over there to work, and he fell in love, and now he's married with two little babies, and I have to go meet his wife. And
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that so much. Yes, Japan has been a top destination for a while. The energy, everything. I got introduced to some Japanese culture when I was a kid. A bunch of my family members love like food, the ramen, and then some family members even love like anime, kind of that culture and everything that entitles. And I'm like, I just need to experience it for myself. I would love to.
so true. There's such an elegance, and like my friend went last year and he was saying he had to film the sidewalks because he'd never seen a cleaner public sidewalk in his life.
Always think I'm like New York City. We would love for that to happen, but it could never. It's Japan. They have it on lock. We'll go see it there, and we'll love them for that too.
Always, always. All right. So thank you for being here. Thank you for creating with me and continuing our
Course.
creative collaborations, because I'm presenting people that I think have great stories to tell. And you're one of these people. So one of my first questions that I think people would out there will want to know, tell us three words that you think describe yourself.
Yeah, yeah. This one I pretty hard on like describing myself. I get like I guess humble by natural default, and I'm like,
You are so humble in I know this is hard for people because you are so humble, but I'm just like,
yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think the top three words that come to mind: loyal, multifaceted, and grounded. I think those are the three that kind of put me in a nice little flower, little bud there.
each one of those is so true. I want to add, with the second one, but completely a creative genius.
Yeah,
You're visionary, and I just love your style. I love your
thank
style.
you. I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
yes. When did you first realize you wanted to direct and be in this line of work?
Yeah, man, that's where I give all the credit to my high school teacher, Mrs. Danielle Riggio Armano, Mrs. A for short. I'd taken a TV production class in my freshman year of high school, just on like a whim. I had an elective. I was like, I don't know what this is. I definitely don't want to do, I forget what it was. Maybe it was like wood shop or something like that. I did it before. I was good enough. I was like, I don't need to do it again. So I took this class, and the very first day of class, Mrs. A gives this impassioned, like Robin Williams level speech on what storytelling means. What does it mean to invoke emotion? What does it mean to bring emotion to people, to make people feel something that they might be unaware of through TV, film, or even good news telling, good storytelling in the news, even in that way too. And she was the first kind of adult that I'd come across who loved what they did. I feel like as a kid, you're very hypersensitive to a lot of emotion and things around you.
Well, I think you are. And not
Yeah,
everyone is, but you are. That's one of
true.
your qualities.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So then to, I guess, to like my hypersensitivity, I could always kind of feel in the people who are like, go get a job doing this. You could always be a doctor, or you could always be whatever the case may be. I could never really feel their heart in it. It was just like something to
More
check
of a,
off.
right, more of a job versus
Yes.
a passion.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I do this to pay the bills and take care of you or take care of my family, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So Mrs. A came in and had that energy, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've seen someone in love with what they do. I'm like, maybe I can fall in love with that too. I think that for me, opened a doorway for me to be able to fall in love with something.
That's amazing. Mrs. A.
Yes,
Hats off to Mrs. A.
truly.
Are
Kudos,
you,
all the love in
this
the
is a
world.
funny question, but are you still in touch with her in any way? Or?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've went back to the high school to speak to some of her students. I'll surprise visit her, just stop by and just give her a hug and a bit of love, and shoot her text for her birthday, Christmas, all the
Oh
holidays.
my gosh, good teachers like that just change the world.
Yeah, man. Sometimes they just don't have the resources they need to do what they need to do. But man, Mrs. A is like a gem of my life. My whole family knows that they love her. They're so excited to see her every time they get a chance to. They're very thankful for her, and I am too.
I'm thankful for her. Mrs. A, I love her.
Yeah,
Tell us about a memorable project that you've done in your life, like you're really proud of it.
yeah, absolutely. I think fortunately I've had a couple, but I think the most recent one that did a lot for me at the time is this short film called The Ocean is Closed on Mondays.
I saw the trailer on your site. That one gave me chills.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for that too. It's directed by a dear friend of mine, Laura. I've known her for about 9, 10 years now. She's from Switzerland. I met her here in New York, and she had gotten this artist residency. And she had some funds, and she's a photographer too by trade. So she was thinking she would do a photo show, and that might be it. But we went to get a drink when she landed in town, and she's like, "I also have this dream to make this film, but I don't know if I can do it." And I heard that, and I was like, absolutely, we can do it. What do you mean? What I think what does a lot for me too is whenever I hear someone so excited to tell a story that it's infectious. I'm like, I can see how much it means to you. And because of that, it means a lot to me. So what do we need to do to make it come to life? And it was fortunate too because it also came in a time where I started to feel a bit of creative burnout. I think that like sometimes as you're a freelancer and you move through the industry, sometimes you're doing projects that really fuel you and kind of, reaffirm why you're here. And sometimes you need to do a couple projects that kind of pay the bills and kind of, keep you going, keep you eating, do the things you need to do.
Yeah, because we love what we do and we want to stay in the business, but sometimes you got to take one step back to go 10 steps forward.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, to that exact point. Like, I think that's exactly what that film was able to do.
Living it
Uh,
myself.
yes, you are. You are living embodiment of that. Absolutely. And have
Keep
been for
on
a long
going.
time.
All I can say to that, to you and for me both, and I'm just speaking to myself, and if,
Yeah.
keep moving. Just
Yes.
keep flowing.
100%. You have been such an example of that throughout the entire time that I've known you. You truly
I
have.
don't know. Let's go back to your story. I want to go back to your story. Your passionate story is getting me so excited.
Good, good. But yeah, so at that point, having the kind of the battery in my back to help her make this thing come to life, I was like, okay, let me reach out to people that I know who would be down for this project. I'll talk to them first for you, or I'll send them your way so you can speak to them and see if you have a collaborative connection. And fortunately, a lot of the team members that I introduced her to were happy to come on. Everyone came in at kind of a lower rate to match kind of the budget that she had for it, but they were so impassioned by what the story was because it was telling a story that I think a lot of people who come to America can feel and relate to, which is the story of what is it like to immigrate from somewhere else into a new place and then try to assimilate. Like you kind of have to learn new ways of being to fit into this new country and place that you're in. But you also kind of sometimes, unfortunately, lose a couple things that came with you in that process. So Laura did an amazing study of the Latinx community. She did a survey, Latinx community and Hispanic community within New York City. She got a Latinx poet to write with her, and they made a beautiful poem that the film kind of unravels over 6 minutes, and it's been so beautiful.
So beautiful. Is this the film that you are have been a couple screenings of recently?
So the last screening was a music video that I had directed, but The Ocean is Closed we have done a bunch of screenings for it. It's been in a museum in Switzerland. She just brought it to Vogue in Milan, so we just had a whole huge Vogue film festival run with it. Made it to Palm Springs where it got listed for the Oscars. Yeah, an Oscar shortlist piece. It's like 4 awards now and hopefully counting. But it was a passion project. So we're just happy to see as far as it can go.
I have chills. I have
Thank you.
chills.
Me
The
too.
line in the trailer, and this is very short, but it's very poignant and powerful. Blend, but I can't, or something. It was something about trying to blend in,
Yeah. It's
but not losing ourselves.
yeah, it's like how it's basically yeah, along the lines of how do I become more without losing some of myself and like kind of subtext.
So good. I can't wait to see it. Cannot wait.
Yes.
Oscar shortlist.
And no, we're so proud of it. It really was a labor of love, and that kind of goes to show you how much that can take you, how far that can take you.
It is just the beginning. You have so many irons in the fire. You're open to different creative projects depending on what strikes a chord for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is like the beauty of the multifaceted and being a storyteller. It's really whatever the story is, and if I feel like I have a part of that story that I can relate and add to, or if I can just empathize very deeply with the story and just do whatever resources and energy I can to make that come to life. So I worked on documentaries about freezing eggs and what that process is like for women and what they have to go through. Done short film, just like The Ocean is Closed on Mondays. I have another short film that I shot and edited that should be coming out in a few months from now and probably do some screening for. And then just music videos for songs I'm extremely passionate about. And then also in the commercial space, I've done directed a commercial for Nike. I've had a Foot Locker campaign that I photographed go nationwide. So just whatever thing kind of like really speak to me and I feel like I can impart something, I'm more than happy to be a part of.
I love that. I have just to brag about your work for me. I will tell you, this is an interesting one. I just to go back.
Yeah, please.
I want to go back to when we first did a web series that you held with this zany web series
Yeah.
with a friend and her husband at the time. I recommend. Sorry, her husband at the time said, "You guys have to look at this guy's reel." And I just remember thinking, "This is it." We've been looking at all these different
Wow.
cinematographers. I can remember the moment.
That's beautiful.
I remember the bubbles. It was the bubbles in Central Park, and it was
Yeah.
blowing the bubbles, and it was
Yeah.
floating. And the way you followed, and I thought he has it.
My heart. Thank you so much.
So we did the series, and then which was super fun. You did an amazing job with that. It was zany. Then you were kind enough to work on my TV pilot, and that you edited as well, and it's so beautiful. I just got it onto a streaming platform for pilots.
Yes, you did.
And
Congrats again. I remember.
I did it for a film contest that shelved it until
Yeah.
I saw the new platform that was offering a space for TV pilots, and that's why it came back to life.
Yes.
I'm still, even though I'm in a very different space and I'm creatively different now, I mean, we
Absolutely.
evolve. I
Yeah.
still am very proud of my old work, and I look at and I see the value, and I love your work you did for it. So thank you again for being a part of that, because
Of
so
course.
TV pilots too.
Yes, TV pilots too, and thank you too, because I remembering and reflecting on this too recently, where I was like, I felt like I was so new, I was so still young, and like I didn't have the kind of accolades or whatever, but you saw something in me, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
No, you showed me. I saw it, but you were already glowing. You're like, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. you again for being part of that too. And again, I'll keep you posted on updates with that project too, because it's alive. It's
Yes.
online, it's out there. So thank you so much. Good creative juju going
Yes.
on.
Always. Yes.
What have been some of the challenges in your career that you have faced that you'd like to share? Any?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important to talk about too for, anyone watching and going through their own process. I think that something that I had to come to terms with when I chose this profession, didn't necessarily think of all the business sides of it. It was really, I think, left brain thinking, if I'm correct, or just
Yes.
creative. Okay, for sure.
Yes. You're like, I have a vision, but you're like, oh wait,
Yes.
do I have to do this for a business? What are you talking about?
Exactly. I got very humbled. Me and my best friend who went to college together, we like to make fun of ourselves how when we came into college at 18, we're like, oh, we're such creative geniuses. Like by 21, we're millionaires, like without a doubt. Like we
Of
got
course.
it. And so how greatly we were humbled, in the best ways. But I think that it's important to understand that you don't need to do it by yourself, right? I think there are certain people who are great at certain things. I think a lot of my process initially was trying to take on everything and trying to do everything by myself. The old saying, it takes a village. You need to rely on your community. You need to rely on your friends around you who just might be better suited for certain tasks than you are. And then together you bring that in and then you can make it blossom and grow and all these things like that. But trying to put everything on your shoulders by yourself, it's not going to work most of the time.
I mean, of course, in your defense, sometimes you have to wear a lot of hats to get it done because you just don't have the resources to bring people or just people aren't available and you have a short time to get it done. But I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and you're exactly right too. Like there are so many, like sometimes to get to the point where you can ask for help, you need to wear all the hats first. Like you need to
Right.
put on everything, you need to do it all. And then someone sees how hard you're working, and then they're like, okay, let me take one of those hats from you.
I remember when we were shooting a film in Greece, and I
Yes.
remember the cinematographer then he saw us trying to do a lot of things at one time, and he said, in Greece we have an expression: if you carry too many watermelons, one's going to fall and break. And I was like, ooh, that's real.
Yes, so accurate. It's
I was
exactly
like,
that.
oh, Vasily, you know what you're talking about. I did break a few watermelons.
Yes, we all do. It's a part of life and the creative process. You're bound to drop a couple of them.
I sure did. He had a good point there. Thank you for that. Okay, I know you mentioned Mrs. A. So
Yes.
she was your early inspiration, but did you have any other like creative people out there in the field, in the world, that maybe even now or in your years that maybe inspired you, or you
Yeah.
thought really, or a film you loved that inspired you? Anything
Yeah,
like that?
absolutely. I think I tend to think of myself too as a melting pot where like sometimes even if I don't like a film per se, there might be something in it that I'm like, oh well, that was interesting. And then it kind of stemmed my thoughts. But one big project for me is this film called Children of Men. And it's by the director Alfonso Cuarón. He also directed Gravity with Sandra Bullock. He did Roma. That was a Netflix film. And it's
Amazing.
so beautiful. Gorgeous film. And then he also did Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban, which is my favorite Harry Potter film.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's fun. I know that.
that was when I saw that, I was like, of course you did, because that's my favorite one. So it was something with like Children of Men really taught me with filmmaking that sometimes you don't need to cut away from what's happening. Like sometimes it's best just to let your actors work, to let the experience unfold in front of you without you kind of needing to disguise it with editing. Sometimes just the raw emotion that someone is going through will say so much more than what could happen if you're trying to zhuzh it up a little bit. And I really hold on to that. I still, again, I do a lot of creative editing. I have done a lot of fast-paced editing and stuff like that. But when it comes to storytelling, if there's a moment where I can let something breathe and I'm like, oh, that sweet spot. I've just hit that emotion. Let it translate to you before we go on to the next thing.
I love that. That is so great.
Thank you. Shout out Alfonso. Thank you to him too.
Roma had a lot of breathing moments, like just the long
Yeah.
street shots. You felt like you were really in the story.
You're exactly on point. It was like you're long for the journey with the character instead of just watching it happen in front of you.
That's
So
it.
beautiful.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else you offer as someone entering school for this profession, for
Yeah.
storytelling, cinematography, directing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that conviction and belief in your story and in your perspective. I think some people get disheartened by the fact that there's a film or a TV show or something that's already like what they want to do that exists in the world, but you are your own individual person. Like you're the only human being who has your perspective. So there is still something left to be said. If you see that said film or TV show and you feel like something is missing, there probably is. So there's probably room for you to come into that story, shape it in your way, in your world, and tell something else that hasn't been told yet. I think that is something that I've had to come to terms with too. When I've seen something, I'm like, oh man, that was my idea. But it's not all the way. Because you'll see, they're like, oh, but well, I would have, yeah, maybe I would have changed. That there's so many intricacies to who we are as people that tell your story anyway. I'm very certain that there's something that hasn't been said yet that you could say.
That is so inspiring. What you just said is so accurate. And I'll tell you something
Yeah.
to go on that thought. It's like there are so many angles to every single story. It's unique, your own perspective. No one has your
Yes.
perspective. What do you want people to know about you?
Yes, 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 yes. I think, kind of to how you were saying too earlier, like I'm really just getting started. I think that even with the projects I've been fortunate enough to work on, to lead, to the awards I've been fortunate enough to receive, it's still just getting started. I think there's so much left in the stories I want to tell. I think that I very deeply think about even kind of like the history of how I even exist, right? Like my parents are from Haiti, they immigrated over here. And then all the turmoil that Haiti has been prior to now, it's kind of like a beautiful miracle that I'm even here and able to do the things that I love. And I really want to kind of I make this joke where I call it the great baton pass, where it's like in generations, right? It's like there's someone next, there's someone next, there's someone next. During my time, I hope to be able to be looked back upon as an ancestor who brought forward empathy, brought emotional intelligence to the family, that brought forward a sense of heart and effort and dedication to something that they can look back on and be inspired by, or look back on and be like, I can improve upon that. Both I completely co-sign it and I'm here for. So I really, for myself, I really am someone who is trying to do the best I can with the time that I have. So then future generations, for as long as they can remember, be like, yeah, that guy did something. I like it.
You are really doing something.
Thank you. That means a lot, truly. I appreciate that.
It's for sure. 100%. I know they're so proud of you because, and I'm always, I also, I love the love your family shares. Like when I've seen your photos, I don't know your family personally, but sometimes you feel like you kind of do because we've known each other a long time. And I'm
Yes.
always like, they've got good vibes. I love this family. They're cool.
They are. I'm very grateful to the support system that I was able to be born into. I was like, luck of the cards. I very much appreciate that.
We are so blessed to have loving families. One of the greatest things of my life is my family. I mean
Yeah.
that I have that their love and their support, and I was raised with the love in my heart from my family.
Yes, that it does so much for how you move through the world. It just you want to infuse as much love as you can because you've been infused with so much, You're like,
Right.
I'm so grateful for this. If I can spread it around more, please. I'm like, I'm so fortunate enough to have a plethora of it. So like I would love to just continue on giving that. Yeah, we have the same exact energy. I love that.
You're doing it. You're doing it. Where can people go see your work now. Your website, is that the best place for people to go?
Yeah, right now my website at tajfrancois.com, my Instagram at the same name. I do have a short film I mentioned a little earlier that we just finishing up. We don't have any dates yet for when we're going to screen it, but on my Instagram would definitely be the first place to find out about that.
Perfect. At the end of these podcasts, I've been asking people, what do we celebrate? I love to celebrate life. I don't know, whatever it is. Like,
Absolutely.
so,
Gratitude.
but that's it. So what are we celebrating today?
Oh, today I would like to celebrate and have gratitude for one of my best friends of all time. I've been friends with him since seventh grade when we both almost failed social studies from talking to each other too much.
Oh.
But I'll celebrate Eric because I had a moment last year where I've been living in that set apartment for a long time. I'm in a new place now, and so I still need to put
Congratulations.
some art. Thank you. I appreciate it. I still need to put some art up, so give me some grace for that. Uh, Eric was living in our hometown, also a filmmaker, also went to Mrs. A's class, also fell in love, but we kind of fell in love like independently of each other, and we would help and kind of motivate each other, but never like so directly like worked with each other. So I had a moment where I was like, okay, Eric, with my next life move, I'm considering either moving to Mexico City or you move up here with me and we follow our creative dreams together and make them happen. So Eric took that. He ran with that. He got together. He moved up to New York. We now live together and we're that short film that I am going to be debuting, screening for. He worked on with me on set and in post production. Right now, he's out at his first New York agency doing some phenomenal work. And I'm just so proud of him and his own journey and everything, as well as just so happy to know him. So happy to have like a creative partner that I can kind of be on this journey with long term.
Amazing. Well, we're celebrating Eric for sure. So thank you,
Yes.
Eric. Here's to Eric.
Yes.
And to our friendship, Taj, thank you again for coming. Come back really
Yes.
soon with updates on all your projects, okay? We're going to have you back.
Of course, of course. I'm celebrating you too and having this whole thing happen and seeing the entire journey and creative platform that you created for yourself. Phenomenal. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Taj.